आपको इनसे मिलवाने के लिए। वो अक्सर कहते हैं टूटना बुरी बात नहीं है, टूट के गिरना बुरी बात है। गिर के किसी कोने में पड़े रहना बुरी बात है। टूट के जुड़ना हिम्मत है, जुड़कर उड़ना हिम्मत है। इसी बात पे मुझे नीना फसली जी की एक बात याद आई जो मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहती हूँ। कहा है कि दरिया हो या पहाड़ हो टकराना चाहिए, जब तक ना सांस टूटे जिए जाना चाहिए। यूं तो है कदम कदम पर दीवार सामने, कोई ना हो तो खुद से ही उलझ जाना चाहिए। Well, there's much to be learned and emulated from the army in the capacity of an entrepreneur. जैसे, for example, mission matters in both because people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I now lead you on to mission-driven entrepreneurship lessons from army operations. And our next guest is very special. Lieutenant General Jeet Dhillon, PVSM, UYSM, YSM, VSM. Commissioned in December 1983 in 4th Battalion Rajputana Rifles, he has had an illustrious military career spanning 39 years. He has an incisive understanding of Jammu and Kashmir as he served there for 5 tenures since 1988. He has served a total of 8 tenures in counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism operational areas, of which 6 in Kashmir Valley, and a tenure each in Jammu region and Manipur in Northeast. Well, he last served as the Director General Defence Intelligence Agency and Deputy Chief of Integrated Defence Staff Intelligence under the Chief of Defence Staff. And I must also tell you, he's an alumnus of the National Defence Academy, Khadakwasla, and Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. He graduated from the Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, and National Defence College, Delhi. प्यार नाल ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ Tiny Dhillon. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up with a loud round of applause for Lieutenant General Kamaljeet Singh Dhillon, PVSM, UYSM, YSM, VSM.
Good afternoon to everyone. As explained in the introduction, I am Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, popularly known as Tiny Dhillon, and I am very happy today that one of my course-mates from NDA and squadron type from NDA, Pritosh Dandel, is also here in the audience. And before we start, we all have seen in the school, in the colleges, in the universities, or even in many sessions, the person on the dais generally puts the class at ease before starting a serious subject. Now here, amongst all the financial wizards and the corporate worlds and with all the types of jargon which I just heard in the last 2 sessions, I want to put myself at ease. Because as a military man, my knowledge of finances is limited to my pay slip and my mess bill, which in my 39 years, I never saw what it is because I could never understand it. And Mr. Mehta was saying, their customers who are less than 1 lakh per month. I think I am his customer. So, starting with that, in the army, we lead a very difficult life. We live a very challenging life, not only physically, but mentally. And as you grow in rank against a normal understanding, the challenges become bigger. The mental challenges become bigger. The family issues, which for a civilian who goes back home every evening, don't even matter. For us, sitting in some post in Kashmir, and there is the intelligence coming that terrorists are moving in that village, and then there is a phone call which comes from home, कि बच्चा स्कूल से 10 में से 2 नंबर लेके आया है. So now you can understand. Whereas if you get a call like this, probably your wife will wait for you to get back home by evening. and once you go back home and you will resolve the issue and probably put a tuition or something. Now here, the lady is sitting there in her village, in her hometown. 99% of the time, she won't even tell her husband what the problems are at home. That is the strength of our families, the way they handle the home front. I must tell you, most of the people sitting out here are the young startups and otherwise also young in your business. Challenges happen. Abhi, the introducer told about something which I had said in an interview some time ago, maybe a year or 2 years ago, and I must say it again. Because challenges must be taken as opportunities. टूटना बुरी बात नहीं है, टूटकर गिरना भी बुरी बात नहीं है, गिरकर किसी कोने में पड़े रहना बुरी बात है, टूटकर उड़ना और टूटकर जुड़ना हिम्मत है, और टूटकर जुड़ना हिम्मत है और जुड़कर उड़ना हिम्मत है. Now this is what it is. I will give you personal examples, although it's bad manners to give personal examples, but I want to give you examples from my own life, which are the examples from every soldier's life. I lose my mother at 3 years of age. I lose my only elder sibling at 14 years of age. I lose my cousin brother in Kashmir Valley, fighting terrorists as a major, awarded Shaurya Chakra at about 30 years of my age. I marry at about 25 years of age, have 8 tenures in field area, 3-4 more in some high altitude areas. My wife sees my death news twice on the television, once when she was 8 months pregnant. I was not there when both her children were born. I was not there when both her children started going to school. I was not there when they both passed out from school. I was not there when they went to college. I was not there when they graduated from their respective colleges. But I'm sitting here today. A lot of youngsters today talk about work, family life balance. This is my work and family life balance. How did I manage it? How did my wife manage it? Or for that matter, how does every soldier manages it? How does every soldier's family manages it? The answer lies in you have to prepare your spouse, parents, children, siblings about the life which you are going to live. Again, you might find it a little humorous, but I must tell you how I prepared myself. When my parents were looking for a match for me, those were the days of arranged marriages, and my father asked me, "Beta, since you are in the army, any something unique you are looking for, or anything you want me to, when you are looking for a girl?" I gave him 2 requirements. One was, the future wife should not be a Fauji's daughter. And second was, drinking should not be too much of a hassle in the family. Now, I am linking it with the work-family life balance. Why she should not be a Fauji's daughter? Because if she is a Fauji's daughter, definitely she would be a colonel, brigadier, or a general's daughter. She is marrying a captain. And every time she will compare, my papa was this and you are this. Ho gaya na family life, work life imbalance. And second is, drinking in the family. Because I may be drinking, I may not be drinking, I may be a social drinker, but I definitely have friends who drink. I definitely have a culture in the army where in the mess party we drink. I may definitely have a culture when people come home, the drink is offered. Or when you go to someone's house, the drink is offered. Now I don't want someone coming to my home or I going to someone's house for dinner and then coming back fighting. Daru ko piyu, daru kyun pilai, ye hai, wo hai. So, family, work-life balance. And now my father tells me, he says, "Beta, ye to theek hai, कि फौजी की बेटी है कि नहीं, but how will I come to know that, sorry, whether drinking का कोई issue है कि नहीं?" I said, "That's your problem, HR problem." So when my father went and, along with my mother and my grandmother, so the typical tray mein coffee and all those things, that was being prepared. And it was taking time. Naturally, the ladies, the bonchai na ke cup nikalne hain and all those things. So my father-in-law was a very impulsive man. When this thing was taking time, he tells my father, he said, "Dhillon sahab, I think coffee mein time lag raha, let's have a glass of beer." And my father says, "Rishta pakka." So Why I am giving this example is we never had an issue after that. We never had a problem after that. Like I told you, this girl, because of preparing herself, she has seen all types of adversities in life. And I must tell you one more thing. In the army, our spouses are part of the family. They bear our responsibilities. I'll give you the example. When I was a commanding officer in Kashmir, this is the second time when she heard the death news of mine on the television. I written a book. I've given in great details all these aspects, and I'm just sharing few of them. At about 11:30, 12 in the night, she gets a message. She sees on the TV that Kanwal Jeet Singh, Colonel KJ Singh is no more, died in Kashmir. Then 11:30, one person whom I told to call up and explain to her कि कुछ नहीं हुआ मैं ठीक हूँ, because I couldn't get through. He said नहीं कल बात करूँगा. The second person कल बात करूँगा. Third person नहीं कल सुबह बात करेंगे. And all three of them decided to call up at night only. And they all called up one after the other who had not called her for last 10 years. And then she was confirmed in her mind that now this is the bad news. 2 children in her lap, one about 10 years old, one about 4 years old, 5 years old, and she is thinking about a future. But come the first light, come the early morning, she realized she is a commanding officer's wife, and the other ladies in the same station. Some Havaldar's wife, some Naik's wife, some Subedar's wife, some Major's wife. Tomorrow they will come to console her, they will come to meet her. She cannot be seen as a shattered lady or a shattered commanding officer's wife. She put herself together, washed her face, combed her hair, and was ready to receive the ladies as a bold and fearless commanding officer's wife. Now this is the family. This is the support we get. What we do, this is what we is edging us to do. The nation supports us. Every time I'm at the airport, the 20 people walk up to me, shake hand, take a selfie. That is the love we want. And because of this love, in spite of being in Mr. Meda's consumer list, we are very happy. So this is how it works. Team spirit. Everyone sitting here is a young entrepreneur, and I also know the young startups, how many % of them end up somewhere, someone after 1 year, someone after 2 years, someone after 5 years, someone after 10 years. Some become unicorns, the gentlemen who are sitting here. There is a two-liner principle in the army. Don't venture into a thing unless you have the end state very clear. I'll give an example. I was a cadet in NDA along with Pritosh Dandiyal, and he knows I am a weak swimmer. I didn't know how to swim. And we had a gentleman called Lieutenant Anil Save. He was our divisional officer. One fine morning, Lieutenant Save comes to our swimming class, and there is something called 7-meter board. You jump from there. That is considered as if you are okay with your mind and body and aggressiveness. So he said, everyone on the 7-meter board. Since I had the senior most number in the NDA, as per the NDA Academy number, I was the first one on the board. He said, jump, I jumped. And then I was drowning. I could not swim from middle of the pool to the edge of the pool. Suddenly some Havaldar instructor dived in, he pulled me out, took me out, gave me some first aid. And Lieutenant Anil Save tells me, why did you jump if you didn't know swimming? I said, sir, because you told me to jump. Now this lesson in the year of 1980 was used in the year of 2019 when we had to abrogate Article 370 in Kashmir. He tells me, never venture into anything unless you are very clear about the end state. He said there are 3 phases in what you have done. You have to jump, you have to swim, and you have to come out. You only thought about the first one, jump. And your end state was not clear to you, that's why you would have failed. And that's the lesson for the young entrepreneurs. Unless you have the third and the end state very clear where you are going, don't venture into a event or thing. Article 370, when it had to be abrogated, we were very clear what is the end state. End state was 2. One is the government's writ will be implemented. हिंदुस्तान की सर जमीन के हर एक इंच के ऊपर भारत की जो हुकूमत है उसका ऑर्डर्स चलेगा. Second was, while doing so, peace will be maintained, no casualties of civilians, no damage to property, private or public. And we worked for it before 5th of August. And we had to work for it without letting anyone know. I've given the details in the book, and this is where on 5th of August, when Article 370 was abrogated, for next 3 months, Kashmir had the most peaceful 3 months of the Kashmir terrorism history of 35 years. How did it work? How did it happen? People today compliment me, you did a wonderful job, you did a good job, very nice. But the same people before 5th of August were so apprehensive. हो नहीं सकता, खून की नदियां बह जाएंगी, तिरंगे को कंधा देने वाला कोई नहीं होगा. It happened because we were clear about the end state. Another lesson is, you all have heard this statement, the strength of the chain is in the weakest link. Again, I'll give you the example. I got commissioned and I still was a weak swimmer. From Udaipur, my unit team had gone to Jamnagar, the basketball team. I went with the team as a playing member. We won the competition. Suddenly after that was the volleyball competition. The unit sent the volleyball boys and told me, you take part as an officer there only. Daniel was my volleyball team captain in NDA. And okay, I played the volleyball also. We won that also. And then came the swimming competition. Again in Jamnagar, unit sent the swimming team. And I said, okay, fair enough. They said, you just look after the team. But they didn't tell me that there is officers relay also in the last event of the competition. They sent 3 more officers, assuming that I know swimming. And it was 4 into 100 meters relay. Now, before that event, Naib Subedar Shanti Saran Saab, who was in charge, he comes to me and says, Saab, as per the marks or the points scored now, we are on the top. Even if we come last in the officers relay, we will get 2 points and still we will be champions. But if we get disqualified, we will get 0 points and then we will come to number 2. So sab aapko kisi tarike se isko complete karna hai. Now imagine the responsibility of winning the championship is on the weakest swimmer, the weakest link in the chain. And anyway, I said, okay, last mein dal dena mere ko. किसी तरह से कुछ करता हूँ. मैंने NDA में the maximum we had done the swimming was 55 meters breaststroke without making any noise, and the 55 meter was based on some Pakistani canals. The maximum canal is 55 meters. That means if you can swim 55 meters, you can go the other side. Now here I had to swim 100 meters. Anyway, I dived. I put everything which I had, because as an officer I couldn't afford to be failing in front of my men. Somehow, I was the only one in the pool at some stage, and a lot of people were cheering me up. I finished it, and we became the champions. And in the evening, when we were having the celebrations, no one was complimenting the people who had won the gold medals. Everyone was complimenting me, Saab, kamal kar diya. Now, this is what it is. You don't give up. You will succeed. Your team will succeed. You will be the employee of the month. So, understand, it is not the best runner who is recognized. It is the runner who makes the difference. So, be a person who can make a difference. Adversities, challenges, adverse situations, competitors will kill you. It will happen. In army, how it happens is, you are in an operation, suddenly a situation comes when you are on the back foot. How do you handle it? I will give you how we handle it, and then you can relate to your job, and I'm sure you can handle it. Whenever adversity happens, I get injured, I get shot, my buddy gets shot, something happens. First and foremost thing is why we limit the damage. We limit the damage, we evacuate the casualty. That means he must survive. Jitna damage ho gaya, usko pehle control karo. Then we assess the situation, why this happened. Then I look at my own resources, which are still not committed, calling up the reserves, reassessing, realigning my forces, and then hitting back. That means my plan must have adequate contingency planning. It must have adequate flexibility to change my plan. It must have adequate reserves to reinforce my failures if at all it happens. It must have options available to me to go from the left or the right. And all these things combined together makes for a good planning and execution. But if I suffer a casualty and like a fool I again get into that, I suffer another casualty. In the army they say, never reinforce a failure. Tackle it from a different direction. Single liners, never reinforce a failure. Same thing. You had a loss in a particular venture, never do the same mistake of putting more money into that. Look at the options, look at the flexibility, look at how you can limit the loss and make more money somewhere else. These are the few lessons. And then in the army, Pulwama happened, I was the corps commander. Just 4 days before, on 10th of February, I had taken over as Kashmir Corps Commander, which is responsible for the line of control, which is responsible for complete Kashmir Valley. 10th February, I become the Corps Commander. 14th February 2019, Pulwama happens. One option is, oh, मर गए यार, क्या होगा, पता नहीं किसका failure है, intelligence failure है, उसकी गलती, इसकी गलती, ये वो. And when that evening, when we were traveling for a conference or meeting, how to go about it, a young captain, my ADC, Captain Sandeep Singh, he was also anxious. He had also heard the news after 2 hours of Pulwama incident. First, we limited. We put the helicopter fleet, we put the doctors, evacuate the survivors, send them to the base hospital. After doing all this, when I'm moving for a meeting, this captain sahab asked me, sir, ab kya hoga? And pardon my language, I said, we will get the bastards. And in that meeting, everyone was saying, कौन वही है, कितने बजे चली, क्यों चली, इतना यहाँ पे आरोपी ठीक नहीं था, वहाँ पे ठीक नहीं था, बुलेट प्रूफ थी, बुलेट प्रूफ नहीं थी. When my turn came, I said, sir, all these things can be handled later. They will come out in the inquiry. Let's hit back now. Let's do the things which will bring the morale of the nation back. Because Pakistani trolls had started trolling, how is the Jaish? Because that incident was carried out by Jaish-e-Mohammed. We hit back, within 100 hours we killed the module, killed all of them, including the Pakistani terrorist Kamran, who was in charge, whose code name was Ghazi. We killed all of them within 100 hours. And within next 10 days, we avoided another Pulwama, killed all of them. Now, this is how you have to hit back. रोने धोने से कुछ नहीं होगा. The competitor will get back at you even with more force. So this Ghazi character, when the question was asked to me, sir, is Ghazi killed? He was the main chap who had done the Pulwama thing. I didn't want to give credence to him. I said, kitne Ghazi aaye, kitne Ghazi gaye, parwah nahi. And that is how this line became viral. This shows your mindset. This shows your aggressiveness. This shows your way of doing your business, whatever business you are in. And that is the title of my book, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. It's a national bestseller from day one. That's a separate issue. So I will finish here or stop here because I always find Q&A session is very interesting. You can ask me a question on army life. You can ask me a question on anything which you face in your life. I'll be happy to attempt to answer. Thank you.
So can we get the mic here to the front after that question? Please go ahead.
Hello sir, मेरा नाम रामानुज है and मैं एक swimmer हूँ, अच्छा swimmer हूँ. So सर मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि एक स्टूडेंट की लाइफ में नॉर्मली हम थ्योरी सीखते हैं, तो उसकी हम प्रैक्टिकल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कैसे सीखें कि हम एक प्रैक्टिकली भी उतने ही अच्छे तरह से सब चीज़ें कर पाएँ जिस तरह से हम थ्योरी सीखते हैं.
Is the question that theory is okay in life में practical implementation कैसे करें?
Yes sir, yes.
Okay. I touched upon it partially in my talk. Make the best laid out plans. Work on the plans, do the market survey, do the market studies, do the AI modeling, do the wargaming, do everything. And then you make a plan which you are going to execute over the next whatever number of years or number of months with number of crores also involved in it. In the army, we also do the same thing. We make the best plans. But when we make the best plans, we have an adage at the back of our mind. The best laid out plans do not survive the first bullet. Any plan which the army makes, the first bullet when it is fired, the plan goes for a 6. Then you work on your options, your contingencies, your flexibility, your reserves, your assets, your resources, your realignments or reinforcements, and making the plan again in the face of the enemy. If you have not worked out the contingencies, you have not worked out the options, you have not worked out the resources and the reserves, that includes reserves of cash also, I suppose in your case. So it will not survive. If you expect the competitor to be goody-goody with you, sorry, we are in the wrong place. If I expect the enemy to be doing what I am expecting him to do, he is also getting paid. He is also getting trained. So I need to expect that he is going to do something absolutely different. So you have to put all these things in your planning per se, theory and practical, everything, and flexibility, reserves, options, contingencies, like I just said.
Thank you so much, sir. Can we have the question from sir, please? Yeah.
Hi, this is Vikram here. One question you already answered in the last part. Tell us about your kids. What are they doing? I'm curious.
Okay. We have 2 children. And by the way, I never say I have a son, I have a daughter. I always say we have a son, we have a daughter. So it's just a sort of thing. And you never compliment. You know, you are looking, sorry, this sari is looking, you are looking good in the sari. Then the compliment is to the sari. You are looking good in this sari. It should be this sari is looking good on you. The compliment is to you. Okay. So that was, you know, people tell me, sir, aapke one-liners achhe hote. Chalo, anyway. Now coming to the kids. Both are children, son and daughter. They both done their graduation in their respective field from Delhi University. Son worked with a company for some time, and now he is doing his master's in UK. Daughter, again done a graduation from Delhi University, and now that we shifted to Tri-City, now she is doing her post-graduation from Punjab University. For the son, it was a, you know, जिसको हम कहते हैं zigzag और हाँ ना. I never forced either way, because young man had to make his own destiny, his own life, his own career. And like I said, in my family work balance, कि लड़की फौजी की बेटी नहीं होनी चाहिए. So I didn't want him to get stuck with the tiny sir तो ये थे और तू उनका बेटा तू कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है. So I wanted him to take his own independent decision, which he has done, and he's quite happy with it.
Right. Sir, से एक सवाल ले लें यहाँ पे.
Sir, I'm Ajay Srivastava. I'm director STPI. मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है पारितोष सर के अंडर काम करने की, because he was also in army. So मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर कि जब हम डिसीजन लेते हैं तो हम एक नेगेटिव थॉट को देखते हैं कि कहीं ये हो जाए तो कुछ गलत ना, जैसे आपने 370 आर्टिकल का बताया कि हटा देंगे तो खून खराबा ना हो जाए, तो एक फियर तो मन में आता है, उसके बाद भी हम डिसीजन लेते हैं सर. तो आर्मी में क्या आपको स्ट्रांग बनाया जाता है कि डिसीजन, टफ डिसीजन लेना है, एंड एक कॉमन आदमी को क्या सोचना चाहिए उस समय टफ डिसीजन लेते समय?
ओके, थैंक यू. आपने बोला जो 370 का डिसीजन लिया तो ये हो सकता है, वो हो सकता है. मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ 27 जून 2019, 5 अगस्त 2019 से 40 दिन पहले होम मिनिस्टर साहब के साथ में मेरी 1-on-1 मीटिंग हुई, और उस मीटिंग में ब्रेकफास्ट के ऊपर, एंड उसकी थोड़ी सी बैकग्राउंड भी है. उससे पहले भी 2-4 मीटिंग हुई थी 26 जून को भी, और रात को जब मैं घर आया करीब 1 बजे ये सारी मीटिंग्स अटेंड करके, इसमें सब लोग थे, कई लोग थे. तो 2 बजे मेरे पास मैसेज आता है रात को कि सर सुबह होम मिनिस्टर के साथ में ब्रेकफास्ट मीटिंग है. ऐसा ठीक है, पहुंच जाएंगे. देन 3 बजे मैसेज आता है कि सर ब्रेकफास्ट में आप क्या खाओगे? ऐसे जो सब लोग खाएंगे वो मैं भी खा लूँगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट इज द मीटिंग. देन द बॉम्बशेल ड्रॉप्ड. नहीं सर ये मीटिंग 1-on-1 है, इट्स ओनली यू एंड द होम मिनिस्टर. एंड देन आई सेड यार कुछ भी खा देना. So anyway, when I went there were dhokla, there was aloo ka paratha, and all those things were there. So in that meeting, it lasted about 45 minutes, and a lot of things were discussed. I written in the book. Finally, he asked me कि अगर कुछ करते हैं तो जिम्मेवारी किसकी है? ऐसा तो जिम्मेवारी मेरी है, कुछ नहीं होगा, पीस रहेगा. And then another question he asked me, he said, how do you say this? I said, अगर इतिहास लिखना है तो किसी को इतिहास बनाना पड़ेगा. So he appreciated this. ऐसे सर अगर इतिहास लिखना है तो किसी ना किसी को तो बनाना पड़ेगा, बिना इतिहास बने इतिहास लिखा नहीं जा सकता. And I'm so proud that I'm part of the history, I'm part of the इतिहास today, and we did it. And coming to the question कि decision, this was one part of the answer, कि decision लेते वक्त अगर गलत हो जाए, कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाए, तो मैं ब्रिगेडियर था कश्मीर में ही, तो एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया में मैं आरआर का सेक्टर कमांडर था. बहुत घना जंगल था, बहुत खराब इलाका था, और वहाँ पे बहुत काउंटर टेररिस्ट ऑपरेशन हमने किए, तो मुझे मालूम था इलाका कैसा है. वहाँ से मैं हेडक्वार्टर में आ गया, कोर हेडक्वार्टर में, और एक नए ब्रिगेडियर साहब आ गए, नए जनरल साहब आ गए उस एरिया के लिए. तो एक दिन एक ऑपरेशन चल रहा था, तो मैंने एक 2 हेलीकॉप्टर आगे फॉरवर्ड में मूव कर दिए, डॉक्टर्स की टीम फॉरवर्ड में मूव कर दी. तो वो जनरल साहब का मेरे को कॉल आया, कहते ये हेलीकॉप्टर और डॉक्टर्स को यहाँ पे क्यों भेज दिया है. मैं कहा सर इस एरिया में कैजुअलिटी होती हैं, इंजरीज होती हैं, एंड वी विल बी एबल टू सेव द लाइव्स. वो मेरे को कहते यू आर अ नेगेटिव पर्सन एंड तू सोच रहा है कि कैजुअलिटी होगी, ऐसे नहीं सोचना चाहिए. मैं कहा सर वो सब ठीक है, प्रैक्टिकल भी होना चाहिए, यू नो. एंड मैंने इस इलाके में नौकरी की हुई है. बट ही गेव मी अ माउथफुल. आई सेड थैंक यू सर, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट लेट द हेलीकॉप्टर बी देयर. आप इसको रैकी वैकी के लिए इस्तेमाल कर लो कि कहाँ पे ठहरे. Take it from me, after 45 minutes, the boy got injured. He was evacuated to the place where the doctors were. He was saved. His life was saved. That general came to my home in the evening and told me, Tiny, I am sorry. I said, sir, practical होना बहुत जरूरी है. बिल्ली रास्ता काट के वाला कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं चलता है, जहाँ पे आपने करोड़ों लगा रखे हैं. उसका भी ध्यान रखिए, वास्तु का भी ध्यान रखिए, लेकिन अपना मार्केट सर्वे करना बहुत जरूरी है. कंज्यूमर की डिमांड्स, रिक्वायरमेंट्स जानना बहुत जरूरी है. कॉम्पिटिटर के प्रोडक्ट की क्वालिटी जानना बहुत जरूरी है. इफ यू डोंट डू दिस, योर डिसीजन इज बाउंड टू बी अ रॉन्ग डिसीजन. एंड दोज इंग्रेडिएंट्स ऑफ ऑप्शंस, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, कॉन्टिजेंसीज, रिजर्व्स, रिसोर्सेज, टाइमली चेंजिंग द कोर्स, दे ऑल रिमेन. सो डिसीजन मेकिंग इज एन आर्ट ऑफ वॉर. How do you orchestrate your resources is leadership. यही है बस which separates men from the boys. Otherwise, to everyone says rolling fields or golden wheat. Oh, भैया किसी ने काटना भी तो है वो. So be a leader, be a commander. I'll give you an example since everyone is here. They are CEOs, they are directors, they are managers, they are commanders in the defense forces, but none of them is a leader. They are all appointments. Leaders emerge. Leaders emerge from difficult situations. There is a roadside accident. 50 people are standing there with different academic background, different political background, different religion backgrounds, different age groups, different genders. One boy or girl of 17 years comes forward, picks up the casualty, puts in the car, takes him or her to the hospital. He or she is the leader who has emerged from that situation. So leaders emerge, rest are only managers, administrators, including the commanders in the armed forces. Everyone is not a leader. So be a leader, take risks, take calculated risks, but within the domain of discipline. Don't be rash. Sorry, thank you. Yeah.
थैंक यू सो मच. क्योंकि वक्त की पाबंदी है इसलिए और सवाल नहीं ले पाएंगे हम. आई विश दिस
I don't know why it happens to me all the time.
Well, you know, this is one part of my job that I really wish wasn't there, but क्या कर सकते हैं. वक्त ने किया क्या हसीन सितम. Thank you so much, sir. You know, हम अक्सर पूछा करते हैं कितने आदमी थे, पर इनकी किताब से इंस्पायर होके अब हम पूछेंगे कितने गाजी आए, कितने गाजी गए. That's the title of his first book, already a bestseller. And after hearing him, you would know why he is a TEDx speaker and leadership speaker at various universities and corporate events. You would know why now. And to thank our special guest, may I please invite on the dais Mr. Satish Kumar Arora, Treasurer, TIE Chandigarh, and co-founder AppSmarts.
Okay, just take a second. The book is, I think, displayed outside somewhere. I'll be sitting there for some time and I'll sign the books by name if any one of you want to buy it, just as a special compliment to all those people sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General ਕਮਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਟਾਈਨੀ ਢਿੱਲੋਂ कहीं थोड़ा और जोश दिखा दीजिए The josh should be high at this time, right? Let's have a louder round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you so